We all know the basic physics problem here. You've got a source pushing 4K HDR, which needs that massive 18 gigabit bandwidth, and you need to get it to a display, say, 50 meters away. Standard copper HDMI just gives up the ghost.
After a few meters, yeah, it
Yeah.
just can't handle it. And optical cables are expensive and, well, pretty fragile.
Exactly. So in today's deep dive, we're looking at Kramer's proprietary answer to this infrastructure challenge, specifically the TP-873XR transmitter and the 874XR receiver.
Right, running on their DGKat 2.0 technology.
Which is really interesting because DGKat 2.0 seems to be trying to squeeze a lot more performance out of standard twisted pair shielded cabling. We aren't just talking about basic extension here.
No, not at all. The engineering goal here is bridging that gap between the source and the screen without those heavy compression artifacts you'd normally get from a standard IP stream. It's designed to handle full 4K at 60 Hz with 4.4.4 chroma sampling up to 50 meters.
And that 4.4.4 at 60 Hz is the killer stat, right? I mean, usually with long-distance copper, you'd expect to see that chroma subsampled down to 4.2.0 just to save bandwidth.
Precisely. And if you are willing to drop the frame rate down to 30 Hz, you can actually extend that range even further, out to 70 meters.
Which is like 230 feet.
Yeah, exactly. But the real trick here is how they manage that bandwidth. Copper has strict physical limits. To get an 18 gigabit signal across 50 meters, they utilize a visually lossless, low-level video compression.
Right, and I know compression is usually a dirty word for AV purists, but we're talking about something similar to display stream compression here.
We are. The latency is effectively near zero. Ideally, the human eye just cannot distinguish the output from the original source. It preserves all the HDR metadata and maintains HDCP 2.2 compliance.
So the handshake between devices remains completely solid.
Yes, you avoid that sluggish feeling you get with high-latency network encoders.
Now, video is obviously the bandwidth hog, but we can't ignore the audio rail. If the video compression is efficient enough, it should leave headroom for uncompressed audio.
It does. It supports up to 32 channels of digital stereo uncompressed signals. We're talking full pass-through for studio-grade formats like Dolby True HD and DTS HD.
Which is critical for high-end home theaters or serious presentation spaces. You definitely don't want to extend the video perfectly only to have the audio down mixed to stereo PCM.
Absolutely not. And alongside all those AV signals, you have the control layer. These units feature bidirectional RS-232 and IR extension.
Which is huge for integration. We aren't just talking about pointing a remote at a TV here.
No, this allows a control processor sitting in the equipment rack to communicate two-way with the display. You can send a command to turn the display on, but also receive feedback verifying it's actually on.
That bidirectional flow is totally essential for professional automation. Let's talk installation logistics, though. One of the biggest headaches in these scenarios is power management.
Oh, always. But these units utilize PC, power over copper.
A completely mandatory feature these days.
Yeah, you get two-way powering. You plug the power supply into the transmitter at the rack, and it sends the required voltage over the twisted pair cable straight to the receiver.
Saving the installer from trying to jam a bulky power brick behind a wall-mounted ultra-thin display.
It keeps the endpoint perfectly clean. And speaking of clean, the hardware itself, the Digitool's aluminum enclosure, is totally fanless.
Silence is golden.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in a quiet conference room and you don't want to hear a fan whining in the ceiling.
Right. Plus, the form factor is designed for density. You can mount 3 of these units side by side in a standard 1U rack space.
So if you're doing a large deployment with multiple zones, you aren't eating up your entire rack height.
Exactly.
So looking at the 873XR and 874XR, it really feels like Kramer is maximizing the lifespan of copper infrastructure here.
It is a really robust solution. It balances professional-grade resolution with the ease of a single cable installation. It proves you don't necessarily need fiber for every single 4K run.
It definitely solves the here and now problem for 4K, but it does leave you with a lingering thought. As we inch toward 8K and those bandwidth requirements double yet again, how much longer can the invisible copper infrastructure inside our walls hold the line before fiber becomes the only physical reality?
That is the inevitable question. But for today's 4K landscape, copper still have plenty of fight left in it.
Something to consider for your next spec. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.